Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Gulfstream Park here on Saturday. It's the 28th of March 2020. It's Florida Derby Day from Gulfstream, and I'm going to look at all the stakes races on the program, including the Florida Derby. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and join me next Saturday for hopefully my Santa Anita Derby preview. But today's one of those days of races. All if you turn on the news, it's all complete shit, and it's all depressing news. So black out the news today, concentrate on Gulfstream. It's one of the the bright sides of Saturday in the world, I guess, especially for sports. So great card from Gulfstream. We're going to look at all the stakes races. Those are races 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and the featured 14th race, which is the Florida Derby. So we have a lot of races to get to. Let's get to the 4th race from Gulfstream Park. Race number 4 from Gulfstream, it is the Cutler Bay Stakes, purse $100,000. Race for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 16 horses entered, but only 12 could go to the turf course, a distance of ground of 1,600 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile on the Gulfstream Park turf course. 1,600 meters, 1 mile turf course, and I show the diagram. Gives me a second to look down my notes, just bear with me. And the rail's at 0 feet, or excuse me, 60 feet, so it's the middle portion of the turf course. Today's turf course at Gulfstream will have 3 rail settings: 0 feet, 60 feet, and 120 feet. So basically, if you divide it all by 60, on the 180-foot wide turf course, they're running 60 feet from the inside to the outside. So if that makes sense. But the top selection here in the Cutler Bay, I'm going to go with the 6-horse Vitology. We'll go 6-9-4-3 in the superfecta, 6-9-4-3 super. Top selection 6-horse Vitology. This 3-year colt by No Nay Never. Brendan Walsh trains. Javier Castellano gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in 29th of February at Gulfstream, mile 16th in the Grade 3 Palm Beach. He won by length that day. He was originally supposed to run the prior race in the Brews Cup at Juvenile at Turf at Santa Anita, but he was scratched because of minor injury, so he's off a little bit of a break that day. He sat closer than he normally does, got a great turn of foot, and he held on to a very nice victory, even though he probably wasn't 100% fresh. He's coming here, second off the break. He's proven that he's a little bit closer. I think he'll get a good run. Keep in mind, though, Javier Castellano was scheduled to ride the horse. Came down with the sickness. We all know what that is. I don't want to get into it, but he came down with the sickness. There will be a rider change at the post time, so just keep that in mind. 2 back in the Bourbon at Keeneland, mile 16th, 6th of October. He finished second by a neck, and he closed up from nowhere. He was drifting, which probably cost him the victory late, but I thought he ran a terrific race closing up from nowhere there. And then at Woodbine, 1 mile on the yielding E.P. Taylor turf course in the Grade 1 Summer Stakes. Finished third by 1 3/4 lengths. He didn't break all that well, but his final quarter wasn't half bad. He started the year, his career off in Ireland with Joseph O'Brien, got sent to the Brendan Walsh stables back in the fall for the Bourbon and the Brews Cup, where he didn't run, but he's been training well. He looks like a very likely winner here on this program, so we'll use him. Multi-race scenario, I think you also have to use the 9-horse South Bend. He finished third in the Palm Beach, closing up from nowhere last week, or a few weeks ago, and then a decent third in the Diana Beach Stakes. His 2 turf races have been very good. I think I think he's going to go with that extra level today. 4-1, definitely use him on this multi-race ticket. But to recap my selection now for the 4th in Gulfstream, it's the Cutler Bay. Let's take the 6-horse Vitology. We'll go 6-9-4-3 in the superfecta, 6-9 in the multi-race. Let's get to the House Hope, race 6 from Gulfstream. Race 6 from Gulfstream, it is the House Hope Stakes, Grade 3, purse $100,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a very good field of 11 horses going 1 lap around the Gulfstream Park main track, which is 1,800 meters in circumference, with a distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/8 on the Gulfstream Park main track. 1,800 meters, 1 mile and 1/8 main track. And I show the diagram. Gives me, like I said, a second to look down my notes. And yes, I know I'm showing the diagram from the pre-2005 renovation. I don't care. I found it on my phone. I find it cool. But that was when Gulfstream Park was quite cool back in the day, when horses could win from any area of the turf course. You would have to have a very good trip on the old Gulfstream Park turf course. And it played a lot like Del Mar's, the way it plays today. If your horse had a rough trip on the turf course here years ago, you better next start out at Keeneland or at Belmont on, and the horse would just have a completely different, better race in his favor if he would get stopped on the terms here at Gulfstream race prior. But I'm getting off subject. My top selection here in the house hope, it's the it's kind of the big older horse division race of the year, around 2 turns here at Gulfstream. Last year they ran the skip away at a mile 3/16, so they got rid of the skip away, moved this race to this point, running it at a mile 8. It's not bad, but I'd rather see it a little bit more of a trip. But the top selection here, I'm gonna go with the number 3 horse. You're to blame. We'll go 3619 in the superfecta. 3619 super. Top selection 3 horse. You're to blame. 6-year-old horse by Distorted Humor. Top Pletcher trains. John Velazquez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 25th of October at Belmont, a mile and a quarter, an optional 100 claimer. He finished 5th by 14.5 lengths there and showed nothing. Had a piss poor effort. Never really got into it, and it wasn't his day to win. He should have improved that day, but he didn't. I'm gonna give him another shot. Off a break, back to Gulfstream, who's run very good in the past. I think he'll be fresh to run. Last time out, maybe he was a tired horse. It was at the end of a very tough campaign. Prior to that, he ran the Grand Prix American Jockey Club at Belmont, a mile and a half on the 7th of September. He finished second by 3 lengths. Marconi was the best horse at the staying division here in America on dirt last season. He went away with it. Next start, actually, at Parks in the Greenwood Cup. He ran an absolutely disaster race, but he didn't get John Velazquez, his regular rider up, who I believe was, I think it was Irad Ortiz or something like that. But next start, I think he had Trevor McCarthy out. Horrible ride there. But this horse, you're to blame. He stalked all the way around the race course, and he stayed the trip well. I didn't think it was a half bad race. And then the Alley Dar at Saratoga, a mile and 8th, 2nd of August, he finished 6th by 16.5 lengths and was drawn wide. Didn't break well. Wide around 2 turns, wide, didn't break well. All that adds up to at Saratoga, going around 2 turns at a mile and 8th, you're not going to win. And he didn't. He just ran horribly there. And then before that, in the Brooklyn at Belmont, a mile and a half, he lost to Marconi there as the favorite. He finished 5th by length. He was with them early on, but Marconi and Rocketry just went away with it. His best race in 2019, I thought, was the Pimlico Special, mile and a quarter Pimlico on Preakness Eve. He finished second by a neck. There was a pace meltdown. He was drawn very wide that day and didn't have the best of beginnings, but he closed from nowhere. He ran just as good as Tenfold. Not a bad race at all. Like I said, probably his best race of the year. Even though the race before he won here at Gulfstream by a length, going a mile 16th, he closed up from nowhere. It was a good race, but I thought next start out in the Pimlico Special, even with that defeat, he still ran good. He likes this racetrack. Been training very well, 7-2 throughout that last race. I think he'll be a fresher horse to win here, so we'll use him along with the 6 horse American Tattoo, the stablemate for Tom Pletcher. Originally supposed to get Castellano up, but we all know he's not going to be riding, so we'll have a change of rider. They took the horse to turf last time out where he didn't really run well. Coming back to dirt, to Gulfstream, where he's already 1-for-1. He won the Allen Jerkins at a mile and a quarter in late December. I'm going to give him another shot. This horse kind of looks like the horse that might go on the Marconi Trail next year, running in those marathon staying races on dirt. Wouldn't surprise me if you see him in that Breeze Cup marathon race they run at Keeneland in the fall. But to recount my selection now for the 6 from Gulfstream, it's the Grade 3 House Hope. Let's take the 3 horse You're to Blame as a top selection. We'll go 3-6-1-9 in the superfecta, 3-6 in the multi-race. Let's get to race 7 from Gulfstream now. The Sanibel Island Stakes is race number 7 from Gulfstream. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Races for fillies 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 13 horses entered, but keep in mind again, 12 could go on the turf course, a distance of ground of 1,600 meters or a mile on the Gulfstream Park turf course. 1,600 meters, a 1 mile turf course, rails at 0 feet, so they'll be running on the inner portion of the Gulfstream Park turf course, which was actually the old Gulfstream Park turf course prior to the 2005 renovation, which is 15 years ago. Feels like yesterday. But the top selection, I'm going to go with the number 7 horse here, Walk in Marrakesh. We'll go 7-5-1-8 in the superfecta, 7-5-1-8 super. Why take the Marrakesh Express when you could just walk in Marrakesh? This 3-year-old filly here, Ignacio Correas trains. Joe Bravo gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 7th of March, Tampa, mile 16th in the Grade 3 Florida Oaks, and the horse finished second by head. He stalked all the way around the race course most of the race. He just couldn't get there late behind an outburst, but I thought he ran a respectable race. First start as a 3-year-old, first start with a new connections or new trainer. Prior to that, under the care of Mark Johnston at Woodbine, 15th of September, yielding ground 1 mile in the Grade 1 Natama. The horse finished second by a nose there, was on the front end almost all throughout dueling. He got caught right at the wire by Abscon, but I thought he ran a terrific race there. Not a bad North America debut. And then the Group 2, Prix de Calvados at Deauville, 7 furlongs down the straightaway turf course on very wet ground. It was rated soft, but it was the heavier side of soft. He finished third by 3 3/4 lengths. He was with them early on. The speed collapsed there, and he just couldn't keep up late. The winner just ran that better race. And then a Sandown on quite fast ground, 7 furlongs in a listed stakes to Star Stakes. He won by a half length there. And on the front and all throughout, Frankie Dettori just ran a good race. Very, wasn't the fastest 7 furlongs, but he got the job done there. And then before that, at Aaron, a novice going 7.5. He won by 5 lengths again on the front and all throughout. Held the speed very easily. Probably doesn't need the lead today, but if he gets it, it should be good. The rails on the inner portion of the turf course have been up the last few weeks, so the rails are coming down today. So when the rails are down, the inner portion does play towards speed, especially when with the fresh bit of ground. I think the speed could go a long way. At 6-1, we'll use him here. Multi-race scenario, the 5-horse Cheermeister. It wouldn't surprise me if he would go all the way on the front and all. So when here comes the bride a few weeks ago, when the Sweet Chanter, the only loss of the year for her was in the Ginger Brew, where she was just very rambunctious even before the race. Even during the race, she just never got into it. Throw that race out because, like I said, that was her bad race lifetime. I like her a lot. 7-2, we'll also use her on the tickets. And if there's going to be a closure, when the 1-horse Lucky Polly can also get a piece of it, but I do prefer the other two before. But to recap my selection now for the 7 from Gulfstream, it's the Sanibel Island. Let's take the 7-horse Walk in Marrakesh. We'll go 7-5-1-8 in the superfecta, 7-5-1 in the multi-race. The 8th event now from Gulfstream. The Sir Shackleton is race number 7 from Gulfstream. It's going for a purse $75,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of a dozen horses entered to go to the main track, the distance of ground of 1,400 meters, or the distance of ground of 7 furlongs on the main track. 1,400 meters, 7 furlongs, main track. The top selection here, we're going to go with the number 5 horse, the 5 horse who is Bourbon Resolution. We'll go 5-3-8-7 in the superfecta, 5-3-8-7 superfecta. And I know, why am I picking Bourbon Resolution when the jockey's 107-0 for the meeting? I think that's going to change today. He's due for a victory on the second to last day of the meeting. But like I said, Bourbon Resolution top selection. 5-year-old horse by New Year's Day. Ian Wilkes trains. Chris Landeros gets the mount on this one. The horse is most recent outing came 20th of July at Woodbine, a mile and a half around the E.P. Taylor turf course in the Grade 2 Nijinsky Stakes. Finished 7 by 9 1/4 lengths. And, it was with them early on, hit the wall late. Couldn't stay the mile and a half, but I've seen, worse races. But cutting back to 7 furlongs here today in the wheelhouse, I think she should run a lot better. 2 back in the Wise Dan on the turf at Churchill, mile 16th in mid-June. The horse finished 8th by 4.5 lengths. A little bit wide that day. Was closing up well late. Again, not the world's worst race. And then the Grade 2 Alishiba at Churchill, mile 16th, 3rd of May. The horse finished 7 by 11 1/4 lengths. Mackenzie just ran a terrific race there. This horse was with him early on. Just couldn't keep up with the better horses. And then before that, the Grade 3 Ben Ali at Keelan, mile 8th. The horse won by 4.5 lengths at 18-1. Stalked, got the lead, and just went away with it. That was a very good run. Has run here at Gulfstream Park once in the past. That came last season, on the 6th of February, 1 mile ops 25, where the horse went by 3/4 length, was way out of it early, closed up well for the victory. Very good run. It doesn't need the lead. If you see a good pace and there's going to be a horse to close with, I think this is going to be the horse. 8-1. Let's give Chris Landeros that one victory out of his 108th starting of the meeting. We'll use him here along with the number 3 horse, Last Judgment. John Velasquez was on this one. Most recently, he returned here at Gulfstream in a allowance race, winning very easily first time against all the horses. But then his spring campaign last year was horrible. He ran the Pate Mile, got outclassed by the others, and then ran the Pegasus, where this horse just never really had a run. Another horse back to Gulfstream with this horse run good in the past. I'm going to give him a shot of 4-1. Definite horse to get a piece of it. It's not the world's toughest, black type stakes. And we'll also give a little shout out to the 8 horse Bacoma. His first start since the Derby last year. Everybody kept saying, cutting back with him should be good. He won the Bluegrass last year, but he never really looked like he's the kind of horse that was, looking to the run. It looked like he was always looking around there, but he won the Bluegrass last year, finished 3rd in the Fountain of Youth, and won the Nashua as a 2-year-old very nicely. Cutting back to 1 turn, he can win on paper. We'll use him as support on the multi-race, but I do prefer the other two before him. Don't want to mention his Derby, where he just ran horribly, but to recap my selection for the 8th from Gulfstream, it's the Sir Shackleton. Let's take the 5 horse Bourbon Resolution as a top selection. We'll go 5-3-8-7 in the superfecta, 5-3-8 in the multi-race. Let's get to Race number 9 from Gulfstream, it's the Sand Springs Stakes, purse $100,000, race for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 13 horses enter, but again, only 12 could go to the turf course, the distance of ground of 1,600 meters or 1 mile on the Gulfstream Park turf course. 1,600 meters, 1 mile turf course, rails at 60 feet. So it's the mid portion of the turf course with the rails at 3 settings on that turf course today. Top selection, I'm going to take the 6-horse La Signare. I'm going to go 6-2-5-3 in the superfecta, 6-2-5-3 super. Top selection is 6-horse La Signare. This 5-year-old mare here, Brendan Walsh trains. Tyler Gaffleowen gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 29th of February at Gulfstream, Mount 3 16th in the Grade 3, the Very One Stakes, and the horse finished third by 1.5 lengths. You know, he sat back early, a little bit wide, had a great turn of foot, just missed, not a bad run at all. Cutting back to a mile today, he's going to have to get a better trip with the lesser distance, but I'm going to give him a shot. This outside portion of the turf course can play towards closers, and I do think you're going to see a very quick pace in this one, which would really do him a lot better. Before then, the Mary Krantz Memorial at the Fairgrounds, Mile 16th to 18th of January, finished 6th by 4 lengths, and first off a 3-month refreshing, didn't really have a lot there, never got a piece of it, never quick enough, a little bit wide, didn't break well. It just wasn't the day to win off the break. And then a lounge race at Keeneland, 1 mile, October the 17th, finished third by a neck, closed up from nowhere that day. Not a bad run. I've noticed when Tyler Gaffleowen gets on this horse, he always rides a game effort, always runs these good races. When here at Gulfstream 2 starts in 2019, ran in the Honey Fox in 2019 where the horse finished 6th, was setting a pace, and then in the Marcia River in 2019 where the horse finished 6th again. It was near the pace setters, but since they took the horse from a little bit behind, coming, closing instead of being on the front end, I thought this horse would run these actually respectable races, and even go within the form line. Those early on in her career, they toiled with her being closer, where she was always running these good races. She couldn't always have the speed on the front end going all the way. She did beat a newspaper record in 2018 in the Wonder again. That was her big claim to fame. Newspaper records making a return today, and I just at 9-5, I don't know if I could take her. If a quarter of the newspaper record that ran as a 2-year-old runs today, I would be happy. But 9-5 is very short on her, so I can't take her. But we'll use La Signare here. We'll also use the 2-horse Zofali. Joel Rosario gets the mount for Brendan Walsh. I had both Walsh runners in this race. His most recent outing came the Alstar Memorial at the Fairgrounds a few weeks ago, Mile 16th, where the horse finished 5th by 2 3/4 lengths. A horrible break, very wide, but closed up from nowhere. It was quite cool that the horse got the 5th place finish after all said and done. Before then, the Pago Hop at the Fairgrounds, 1 mile in late December. The horse won by a length on wetter ground than yielding. It was ready yielding, but it was more on the heavy side of yielding. Wide post draw, had a great turn of foot, and went away with it. His races in North America, other than the Alstar Memorial, they weren't bad run races at all. 9-2, Joel Rosario, the best finishing rider in the country. I'm very confident in this horse. So to recount my selection now for the 9th from Gulfstream, it's the Sand Springs Stakes. Let's take the 6-horse La Signare. I'm going to go 6-2-5-3 in the superfecta, 6-2 in the multi-race to the 10th event from Gulfstream. Race number 10 from Gulfstream, it is the Orchid Stakes, Grade 3, purse $100,000, race for fillies, mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 12 horses going to the turf course, distance of ground of 2,200 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile 3/8 on the Gulfstream Park turf course. 2,200 meters, 1 mile 3/8 turf course, rails at 0 feet, so it's the inner portion of the turf course. Top selection, the Orchid, the official flower of the Florida Derby, by the way. Top selection here, I'm going to go with the number 8 horse, Bo Bell. I'm going to go 8-5-6-7 in the superfecta, 8-5-6-7 super. Top selection, 8 horse, Bo Bell. 5-year-old mare by Giants Causeway. Tom Ablatrani trains. Dylan Davis gets the mount here. The horse's most recent outing came 3rd November at Aqueduct. November feels like August, to tell you the truth. Last week feels like August, and it's only been 1 week, but 3rd November he ran at Aqueduct, 1.5 miles in the Zagora Stakes, finished 7th by 1 3/4 lengths. It was an all-out finish. He just couldn't get there late. I've seen better races by this horse. 2 back in the Flower Bowl Invitational at Belmont, 1 mile quarter on the inner turf course, does not play towards closers, and the horse finished 5th by 2.5 lengths, and the winner, Sister Charlie, was just on a league of her own, quickening up nicely nicely. Very good run. This horse just couldn't get it there. And then before that, allowance race 92,000 Saratoga, mile 3/16 on a yielding melon turf course. The horse won by 2 lengths. It took a while for this horse to break the main, but when she did, she won 2 in a row. She first time winners there. She stalked, she got the lead, and then she just kept going. Very good run. And then Belmont, at Saratoga before that, again on a yielding melon turf course, mile 3/16 in the main special weight 90,000. The horse won by half length, stalked, got the lead, and then got the job done. It was a little bumpy that day, but still got the job done. Keep in mind, 1, 2, 3 out of that race, all went extra out. And then before that, at Belmont on the main track, mile and a quarter, a very rare mile and a quarter race. That's not a stakes race at Belmont on the dirt in the main special weight 90,000. The horse finished second by 6 3/4 lengths. Was with them early on, hit the wall late, but I've seen a lot worse runs by this horse. They think high of this horse because they tried her even when she was maiden in some very tough stakes races. They tried her in the La Proviante where she ran horribly in 2019. Tried her in the Zagora in 2018 where she ran okay. Wasn't the world's best or worst races, but she always runs these good races at the marathon trip. Could sit closer on this turf course. 8-1 will definitely use her. Yeah, I'm also going to use the 5-horse Gentle Ruler. Again, Chris Landeros, 107-0. Hopefully by this time he'll be 110-1 with the previous race with the victory. But this horse's most recent outing came in the Dowager at Keelan in the fall, a mile and a half, where the horse went by 2.5 lengths, and he had a great turn of foot. That was a good run. Before that, won the Ramsey's Farm at Kentucky Downs very nicely. His only subpar race out of his most recent form lines came actually in the Weah at Saratoga, where the horse just really couldn't get into it, and plus they crawled on the front, and 116 3/4 is very slow. But before that, won the Robert Dick Memorial at Delaware very easily, won the Cortana at Churchill very easily. Another horse, should get a good trip here. 7-2, definitely use her on the multi-race. And I tell you the truth, I have for third, I have Mean Mary. She's not going to get a walking trip on the front end like she did in La Proviante a few weeks ago. I think she could be beatable here today, so I'm going to actually go too deep on the multi-race. But I'd be very shocked, like I said, if Mean Mary gets the walking trip. But recap my selection now for the 10th from Gulfstream. It is the Grade 3 Orchid Stakes. Going to take as a top selection the 8-horse Bow Bell. We'll go 8, 5, 6, 7 in the superfecta, 8, 5 in the multi-race. Late pick 4 begins off with race number 11 from Gulfstream. Race number 11 from Gulfstream Park. It is the Gulfstream Park Oaks Grade 2 purse $200,000 race for 3-year-old fillies here. We have a field of 14 horses entered, but only 12 could go to the main track. The distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16 on the Gulfstream Park main track. 1,700 meters, 1 mile 1/16. Here in the Gulfstream Park Oaks, formerly known as the Bonnie Miss Stakes years ago, but they changed it. I think it was like 2012 or 2011. They changed it from the Bonnie Miss to the Gulfstream Park Oaks. I don't know why they had to change name, but sometimes that happens. For some reason, I've noticed every year at Gulfstream Park, the stakes races are either moved around on the calendar. Some races, like the Gulfstream Park Mile, the House Hope, they skip away, and a lot of them always have a different distance, or always have like always changing names. That's something I've always noticed about Gulfstream the last few years. But with that being said, here in the Oaks, I'm gonna go with the number 5 horse. The 5-horse Spice is nice. I'll go 5, 9, 4, 10 in the superfecta. 5, 9, 4, 10 super. Top selection of 5-horse Spice is nice. This 3-year-old filly by Curlin. Top Hector trains. Again, Castellano was supposed to get them out. We will have a rider change here. But the horse's most recent outing came on the 29th of February at Gulfstream. 1 mile in the Grade 2 Devona Dale, and the horse finished second by 1/4 lengths at 70 cents a dollar, and I had money on her that day, and I also had her in multi-race scenarios singled. She broke okay. She stalked all the way around the race course, just couldn't get the good turn of foot. Maybe she wants longer. It was a weird race. She should have ran a lot better, I thought. 2 turns, has the speed to win around 2 turns here at Gulfstream Park. I'm going to give her a shot. In her main victory at Gulfstream Park, going a mile in the main special weight, she went away, winning by 12. She sat back early, slowly moved her way up, and she could have probably won by a lot more. 84 by her. That was a very respectable race. The 2-turn, mile 16th shouldn't be a problem. She's run very well for it, and they must think highly about the horse. They bought her for just over $1 million. We'll use her on the multi-race. The 9-horse Toneless Shape, I thought ran a terrific race in the Devona Dale a few weeks ago. The local preppers for this race, winning on the front end all throughout. That was a very good run. It's probably leaving from the outside. They're going to see, can they take the speed as long as they can. 5-2, we'll definitely use her again on the multi-race. And Lake Avenue is a wise guy horse. If she runs like the Busher, she's not going to win here. If she runs like the Demoiselle, she's not going to win here. But if she runs like her maiden victory, she'll win here by a mile. She's been a little inconsistent at times. At 9-2, I like the jockey book on Joel Rosario. If you have the extra bankroll, use her in the pick 4, but I'm more confident in the other two. But to recap my selections now for the 11th from Gulfstream, it's the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks, formerly known as the Bonnie Miss. Let's take the 5-horse Spices. Nice. We'll go 5-9-4-2 in the superfecta, 5-9 definitely in the multi-race. Let's get to the 12th event from Gulfstream Park. We're going back to the lawn. It is the Pan American Stakes Grade 2 purse, $200,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 10 horses stepping to the lawn. The distance of ground, 2,400 meters, or the distance of ground of 1.5 miles on the Gulfstream Park turf course. 2,400 meters, 1.5 miles turf course here in the Pan American. One of the premier turf races of the winter from Gulfstream Park. The top selection, I'm going to go with the number 9 horse Zulu Alpha. We'll go 9-10-4-5 in the superfecta, 9-10-4-5 super. Top selection 9 horse Zulu Alpha. This 7-year-old gelding by Street Cry. Mike Maker trains. Tyler Gaffleone gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Grade 2 McDermott here at Gulfstream Park, mile 3/8 on the 29th of February. The horse won by a length there. He sat back early, a little bit wide, but he got the job done very, very easily. Didn't look like he even broke a sweat. It was his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th triple-digit buyer. Very, very good run there. Before that, the Pegasus World Cup turf here at Gulfstream Park, mile 3/16, 25th of January. The horse won by 2 lengths and took the shortest way around, basically. It was very reminiscent of Tyler Gaffleone's Preakness win on War Will. Sat back early, great turn of foot, snuck up on the rail, and went away with it, winning at 11-1. That was a very impressive victory. Probably at the trip he not even his best at. I think 1.5 miles is his premier trip. And then before that, the British Cup turf at Santino, 1.5 miles, November the 2nd. He finished 4th by 1.75 lengths. He sat back early, a little bit of a turn of foot. I thought he ran his heart out against some very tough horses there. Wasn't the world's toughest turf in 2019, but like I said, still ran a terrific race against some very tough horses. And then before then, the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic at Belmont, 1.5 miles. He finished 6th by 3.25 lengths, and he really ran a subpar race. It was wide and never turned and never quickened up there. But before that, he won the Kentucky Turf Cup very nicely, winning by 3.25 lengths, going away with it at just under 2-1, or excuse me, over 2-1. Very, very good run. 1 in 3 offerings in 2019. One of those races was the McDermott last year in 2019, and one of those races also was the William McKnight last year on very wet Warlock turf course. Like I said, he's been running triple-digit buyers since basically the UN Handicap at Monmouth over the summer, where he placed behind Hunter O'Reilly, then disappointing 5th in the Bowling Green, but coming here, he should win 9-5. We'll use him on the 3-5. We'll use him on the multi-race. He should win, but if there's a horse that could upset here, the 10-horse focus group I'll use on the multi-race. 6-year-old horse by Kitten's Joy. Christophe Caman, who's won this race quite a few times, I believe. Trains this one. Luis Saez, who's having a great winter, gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Sycamore Keeneland, 1.5 miles in mid-October, where the horse finished 6th by 5 lengths there. Was very wide that day. He closed up a little bit. He should have ran a little bit better than he did, because it was a class relief there. Before then, the Grade 1 Northern Dancer at Woodbine, 1.5 miles. He finished 3rd by 2.5 lengths, and didn't really show a lot. Didn't break that well. He should have did a lot better there. And then before that, in the Bowling Green at Saratoga, mile 3/8, he finished 8th by 2.5 lengths. He basically, it was an all-out finish that day. He just couldn't get there late. It was an exciting race. He just couldn't get there. Earning 100 buyer, which you don't see for an 8th place finish very often. And then before then, the UN Handicap finished 5th by 3.25 lengths again. I thought he was closing up well there. Not the world's worst race for him, with a race with slow fractions. Won this race very nicely by a nose last year, coming up well. Like him a lot. I'm going to also use him if there's a horse, like I said, that could upset. I think it could be him. But to recap my selection now for the 12th from Gulfstream, it's the Grade 2 $200,000 Pan American. Let's take the 9 horse Zulu Alpha as top selection. We'll go 9-10-4-5 in the superfecta, 9-10 in the multi-race. To the 13th now. Race number 13 from Gulfstream. It's the Appleton Stakes, Grade 3 purse, $100,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 16 horses entered, but only 12 could go to the turf course. A distance of ground of 1,600 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile on the Gulfstream Park turf course. 1,600 meters, 1 mile turf course, rails at 0 feet, so we're back to the inner portion of the turf course. The top selection here, we're going to go with the number 3 horse, March to the Arch. We'll go 3-4-7-1 in the superfecta. 3-4-7-1 super. Top selection 3 horse, March to the Arch. This 5-year-old gelding by Arch. Mark Cassie trains. Tyler Gaffleone gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 8th of February at Tampa, mile 16th in the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Stakes. The horse finished third by a head. He basically sat back or mid-pack most race, closed up late, just couldn't get there in front. He ran a decent race. I've seen again a lot worse. Before that, back on this turf course in Sunshine Millions turf, a mile on the 16th and 18th of January, he won by a head, mid-pack again most race, closed up well, got there in nick of time, very good run. And then before then, Shadwell turf mile at Keelan, 1 mile, October the 5th. He outran his 21-1 odds that day, finished 5th by a length, closing up from nowhere. After not the best beginnings, I thought he ran a terrific final quarter there. And then before then, the Shadwell turf mile, before then, the Bernard Baruch at Saratoga, mile 16th on soft ground. He's not a soft ground horse, finished 6 by 8 lengths and showed nothing. Absolutely nothing, was wide throughout. Throw that race out. His worst races over the summer, I thought, have come on soft ground. But coming here today, off of some decent races, his last 3, I'm going to give him a shot here, along with the number 4 horse, Battle Rocks. Edgar Zayas gets the mount for Belmont. His most recent outing came in optional 75 on this turf course a few weeks ago, where he won by a nose. Another horse he loves running here. His form, against these quality, the stakes quality horse hasn't been the best at times, but always run these weird races like he did in the poker in 2017. But that was 2017. We're in 2020 now. But he's been training well. 6-1. I'll give him a shot also. And also, before we get to the Florida Derby, we also have to use horse social paranoia. He's cutting back in trip from his last one. He was facing some of the toughest 3-year-old turf horses last spring. Another horse we'll definitely use on the multi-race ticket here. But to recap my selection now for the 13th from Gulfstream, it's the Appleton, the Grade 3 Appleton. Let's take the 3-horse, March to the Arch as a top selection. We'll go 3-4-7-1 in the superfecta, 3-4-7 in the multi-race. So now let's get to the featured 14th race from the featured 14th race from Gulfstream. It is the Florida Derby, Grade 1 per $750,000. Race for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 13 horses entered, but only 12 could go. 1 lap around the Gulfstream Park main track, which is 1,800 meters in circumference, or the distance of ground of a mile and 1/8 on the main track. 1,800 meters, a mile 1/8 main track here in the Florida Derby. It usually was the big prep race for the Kentucky Derby. It still is, but the problem is Derby's not in 5 weeks. Derby's now in about 25 weeks or so. So we still have about 6 months to get there. But it's still a good race here. My top selection, I love the 9-horse Independence Hall in the spot. I'm going to go 9-5-3-7 in the superfecta. 9-5-3-7 super. We'll talk about all 4 of them. We'll start off with the top selection, though, 9-horse Independence Hall. The 3-year-old colt by Constitution. Mike Trombetta trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 8th of February at Tampa, mile 16th in the Grade 3 Sam F. Davis, and the horse finished second by 2.5 lengths. He stalked early on. He had the lead. He got caught by Sol Volante, who closed up from nowhere to get the victory. He just couldn't keep up there first start around 2 turns. Rosario up today, who rode the horse to a terrific race at Parks in September. I'm going to give him another shot. 2 turns, he's probably going to leave from the Y post draw, and if he get a good stalking position, I'll be very happy. 2 back in the Jerome and Aqueduct on New Year's, 1 mile at good main track. The horse won by 4, completely missed a break, got forward, got moved up to the front end. He got the lead. He didn't like the whip that day. His 2 races, he didn't like the whip, but he still got the job done, winning by 4. Very good run at 10 cents a dollar. And then the Grade 3 Nashua at Aqueduct, 1 mile November 30, won by 12.5. Again, he doesn't always break that well, but that was probably his best race break of all his starts. Got the lead, and then just won basically almost by a baker's dozen again. But he didn't like the whip. He shies away from it. His debut at Parks on Pennsylvania Derby Day, 7 furlongs main special weight 2000. He won by 4 3/4 lengths. Horrible beginning, slowly moved his way up, and then just took off clear late. He's been training well. I love horses that go from Tampa and then to Gulfstream for their final workout. His Gulfstream final workout was very fast, 48-1 for a half. good workout. Like I said, I think he's come this race fit and ready to go. We'll use him on the multi race. The 5 horse Governor Morris, I love a lot. If the Derby was in a few weeks, I would love him even more. Tom Pletcher trains one. John Velasquez gets the mount. His most recent outing came at Tampa, mile 40 and optional 40. First off the break, or excuse me, optional 5 off the break. He won by 1/4 lengths. You lost basically the other speed at the gate when they broke out of it because the speed lost rider. So he basically stalked. He got the lead, and then he just took off clear. 50 cents a dollar. It was a good comeback to the races. Before then, the Breeze Futurity at Keeneland, mile 16th. First starter on 2 turns. First time winners. He finished second by 5 1/4 lengths as the just 1-2 favorite there. He's that mid-pack, closed up a little bit late, but Maxfield just had something better on him. But he still ran his heart out there. And then main special at Saratoga on the slot, 5.5 furlongs Labor Day weekend. He won by by 9 that day. And again, didn't break all that well, which is a common occurrence with these Tom Pletcher horses, 2-year-olds the last few seasons. Didn't break that well. Slowly moved his way up, winning by 9. That was a very impressive run. One of the better 2-year-old performances of 2019 at Saratoga. But he's been getting better with every single race. Tom Pletcher, John Velasquez have won this race many times in the past. Run very well for this racetrack. 8-1. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets the job done. As a bit of price play, the 3-horse disc jockey, I kept going back to him. Saffy Joseph trains one. Tyler Gaffleon gets the mount on this trio called by Bodemeister. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a good trip from the inside. If he sits closer, he's gonna have to run his best race lifetime. But I'll use him on the multi races. Buyer numbers the last 2 weren't half bad at all. But like I said, he's gonna have to run his best race. And I also think the 7-horse Tis the Law Sakatoba Stables owns this one. Barkley Tag. Manny Franco gets the mount on the trio colt by Constitution. He's been basically pretty perfect other than the Kentucky Jockey Club. But, won the Holy Bull on this racetrack by 3. Very easy run. Disappointing running the Kentucky Jockey Club on the slop. I don't think he liked being where he was. Didn't think that was Manny Franco's best ride. I wouldn't put it on the highlight reel, but won the Champagne very, very easily before then, and then broke the maiden at Saratoga very nicely. He's kind of worse with the longer break to the Derby. He probably gets even better. Drawn well, 6-5. We'll use him on the ticket, but I do prefer the other ones before him. But to recap my selection now for the 14th from Gulfstream Park, it's to feature $750,000 Grade 1 Florida Derby as a top selection. I'll take the 9-horse Independence Hall. We'll go 9-5-3-7 in the superfecta, and we'll use the 9-5-3-7 also in the multi-race. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.